You're welcome to another edition of Kyle Meredith with. It's the interview series presented by WFPK at WFPK.org, Consequence, and the Consequence Podcast Network. Thanks as always for making your way here for checking out the series. Please do hit that subscribe button. I put out 3 new interviews every single week. I was looking down to tell you to do it. 3 interviews every single week. New one every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So it's a great way to keep up with your favorite artists and discover those new ones. You can grab us anywhere you get your podcast from as well. Spotify, Apple Podcast, NPR, WFPK.org, Consequence, or of course right here on YouTube for the video versions. Really, anywhere you get your podcast from, you can subscribe to Kyle Meredith with. That's me, Kyle Meredith, today catching up with Maren Morris, Backstage at Bourbon Beyond 2024. Maren and I had last talked right as she was releasing her album Humble Quest, and lots happened since then. She hit a hard reset button and turned her life right side up. So we're going to hear about how that's kind of affected the songwriting for this EP that she just dropped called Intermission. That title makes a lot of sense when you have the context like that. So we're going to hear about the songwriting. We're going to hear about what's going on in her life. I'm going to ask about one of the specific songs called I Hope I Never Fall in Love. I think it's my favorite song on this new EP. She's been performing it live. We'll talk about playing live as well and a whole lot more. Let's talk to her, Maren Morris, live backstage at Bourbon Beyond 2024. It's Kyle Meredith with Maren Morris. Hey, welcome to another edition of Kyle Meredith with Backstage at Bourbon Beyond in Louisville, Kentucky. And look who's back. It's Maren Morris. Hello.
It's me. Hi.
It's great to see you. We were just saying, we got to do this once over the old Zoom thing right after Humble Quest.
Yeah, wow. Ooh, that was a long time ago.
So a few things have happened since then. Mm-hmm. First off, like Intermission, I'm going to ask about that in a minute. It's so good. And just seeing like how much one artist can evolve and change and try new things just in this small amount of time. Mm-hmm. I don't mean this as general questions like, hey, what's up? But like, how is life now? Because like so much has happened. You made big announcements about everything. Like since last year, like how actual difference has life been?
Yeah, pretty much 180 to everything. I think top down. I read a quote the other day that it was like you're gonna have to sacrifice your old life to get to your new one, and I think that's very true in every sense of the word. Is like you can't really cherry pick the parts of it that you're gonna change. I think it's just sort of like cellular turnover at every phase. So it's been good. Like I'm writing a ton. It's been amazing to have these shows in between, and like obviously love festival season. This is incredible lineup to be on today.
It's a good lineup out there.
I know. Kicking it off today.
Do you get to see, like, I don't know, it's like 100 degrees outside right now, and you're dressed immaculately, but
yeah, I was like, this might have been a mistake.
Yeah.
We're gonna find out.
Yeah, so it's like you have to make the decision to like, do I even want to walk out there to see a show? You know?
I resigned myself to the fact that like I'm gonna be like Ross from Friends in these pants, and like it's gonna be a double shower day. Just is what it is.
That's what it is.
Yeah,
I understand.
Louisville. Yeah, it's hot in the summer.
Yeah. So you made this Intermission EP, and this after an announcement, like you're kind of leaving country behind. So when did these songs get written? I mean, when did you start? Because again, when you hit the big reset button that you've talked about, like, do the songs predate that a little bit, or do they all this start happening afterward?
Most of it happened after I sort of made some big career and personal life shifts. But there's one song on the EP called Because of Course, and I wrote that last summer. So that's the oldest one of the bunch, and I wrote that about the love that I have for my son. So that was like that held on through all the changes in my life. Obviously, that's an eternal, unconditional love that I'll always have is for him. And he's been like such a constant in my life the last year. And as I've written these songs and articulated my emotions more and more, the picture is a little bit more clear than it was a year ago. And these songs, I mean, I obviously am working towards a full record, but it was just nice, like, while I did this tour this summer and these last few festivals, just to have some new music out. I wanted to, I had a lot to say, but I think, like, it's like, do you wait till there's a full record done, or do you just, like, get it out as you're feeling and thinking it? Yeah. So I think I was happy to put it out right now, and it's nice to, like, kind of, for our set list, to have some, like, new New blood.
Yeah. Well, of course, in playing around even with that title, I mean, it seems like that title can say so much in a moment like this. But it's the duality, right? Because it's the intermission between albums,
Yeah.
certainly. But it's like, it also feels like the next chapter. It's like, how is it a new chapter and intermission at the same time?
Yeah, I mean, intermission to me is like a break in the act. So there's obviously more to come. But I think this was a nice sort of appetizer, teaser of music. And I'm still writing, and I have a few more like writing trips to LA this fall just to sort of like see what is left in the gun. But I've written so much for this project that I'm excited to get it out. And yeah, it just feels like there's no deadline or like rush, but I certainly, you know, want to, I feel like at the end of the day, I'm still like an album girl. I love full bodies of work.
Absolutely.
Obviously this summer it's been an insane year of albums. Like
it's a big year
from women.
I mean, it's one of the biggest. I think someone said like of this decade, this might be like the biggest year we've had so far, and like and the best. Not just like big names, but like it's so quality.
I know, yeah, it's like really inspiring for me as a writer and just a woman in this industry. But like I think that it's gonna be a bloodbath at the Grammys this year.
We already got a little bit of that at the VMAs. I mean, everybody seemed very nice to each other, but like it's just like you could start seeing who's up, you know, music-wise against each other. That's
the quality is just there, and that's so encouraging, especially when so much in the music industry is sort of like not hopeless, but you know, with people not making as much money touring or streaming or writing. I think like in terms of women in pop just dominating right now, it makes me excited to like get back in the room and like really hone in on what I want to say. And I think that's like what makes me excited to always write songs, is that when I'm inspired by my friends, because I'm inspired by my life, of course, like you have to fill the well of memories and content of what you're going to write about. But I always get the most excited since I moved to Nashville 10 years ago, like by my friends' songs.
Yeah. Do you ever, because I'm guessing you listen to all these women and everybody else, but do you ever get to the point where it's like, that sounds so much like one of their songs, do I have to let them know that? Because I was listening to another interview recently, and the artist was going through that same thing. It's like I wrote something and I realized, oh, that sounds just like, you know, Sonic Youth was who it was.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, I've got to hit them up and make sure that that's okay if I release this song. Because that's what you listen to. You listen to, you know.
No, that's happened, you know, not too often in my career. And I feel like that's always something as, you know, a working writer that I've tried to be really cognizant of, because it's like you do listen to so much music and it gets in there, and, you know, there's only so many chords and, you know, structures. So, but I had that happen to me once. It was like on my second album, Girl, I realized one of my songs was like we had already turned everything in and mixed and mastered the album. Like it was coming out in 2 months. And I kind of realized like a melody of one of my songs was on top of Dolly Parton's 9 to 5. And I was just, you know, like a little bit freaked out and heartbroken, because I would never want to like copy someone on purpose. But it was just this sort of stair-step melody. And so I reached out to her, and she was so cool about it. She like wrote me a letter back, and because I offered her, you know, nice percentage of the publishing, because I was like, I'm pretty sure this is close enough to your melody that you should take some of this. And she was like, absolutely not. So
Very Dolly.
That was so cool of her. I know. I was like, and obviously she's Dolly, so she doesn't need it. But I was, you know, I think writer to writer, there is just like a fear and a respect level of like, you never want to copy your friends. You only want to be inspired by them.
Right.
But yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah. One of the songs, very quickly, because I Hope I Never Fall in Love, is so incredible.
Thank you.
And your vocals, like in the studio, the vocal booth or whatever, I don't know, man. What are you going through right there? Like, are you the type that needs to, like an actor?
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Like, do you have to put yourself, because that emotion coming through that song, we talk about, you know, the best songs of the year, and that's got to be one of them. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Thank you. Yeah, I think that was one of those takes vocally that I, particularly in the bridge, because when I'm screaming like, you only made it worse, I hope I never fall in love. Like, I'm definitely reaching maximum velocity on my vocal cords, because it needed that grit and like desperation and anger almost, and just, letting it all out. I have to like be careful live, to not always blow it out every night. But for the, something that's permanent, like a piece of work of recording, you definitely want to like give it your all, because it's forever eternalized there. So yeah, it's definitely vocally a stretch for me. But that's what's fun, is like the range as you age, especially for women singers, matures and just gets even more rich and like chocolatey as you get older. And I think like it sort of is this age range. Like I'm 34, but I think it's like between 34 and 42 or something with women, where they're at their vocal maturity.
I know that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I hope so.
No, that's cool. Yeah.
So yeah, I think just like still figuring out like what you can do and the differences as you age is like a fun thing about being a singer.
That's cool. I remember I asked a couple of classic rockers, Sammy Hagar, and Bono, and if you regret any vocals that you did when you were younger, and they're like, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I'm so glad I did them then. Can't do them now, but I'm so glad I did them then. Yeah.
I've had moments where I've like recorded or I've written a song way too low, because like in your speaking voice, as you're writing in the room with your friends, you're writing it as you're saying it. You're not really thinking about singing it for decades, and I'll be like, oh God, we should have raised the key on this one or lowered the key.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I can't wait to hear what comes next, because you've always kept us on our toes and made such great music. This new EP is so good. Maren, thank you so much for dropping by.
Yeah, nice to see you in person.
By.
Yeah,
right
nice
on.
in
All right.
the air conditioning.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm gonna look a lot different after this show.
And thanks to my guest. Also, thanks to you for checking out the episode in the series. Before you get out of here, hit that subscribe button. Again, you get 3 brand new interviews every single week. New one every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at right here on YouTube, or of course anywhere in podcast land, including iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podchaser, NPR, or WFPK.org as well. A great way to keep up with your favorite artists and discover new ones as well. Then after that, actually head over to WFPK.org. That's where I do a show Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern. It's an hour full of song premieres, music news, anniversary spins, bonus interviews, Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern at WFPK.org. Consequence has your music and film news. You can also find me on the social media spots, Facebook, Instagram, mostly on Twitter. All 3 of them, the address is at Kyle Meredith. Do hope you like and follow along. That does it for another edition. I'm Kyle Meredith. I'll see you next time.